Well, we proceed on the big stories as we pit two heavyweights against each other. We've engaged the NLC, the National Labour Commission. They'll be sharing some thoughts on this entire development. Should we get them? It's been a bit difficult interacting with them. But we're going to hear from UTAG, specifically the president of UTAG at the University of Cape Coast. I'm talking about Dr. Bert Bwedi-Kusi. He joins the conversation and why the NLC is suing, taking on legally UTAG to compel them to get back to post. But UTAG is also saying, we are not going anywhere. And the 21-day ultimatum, or the 21-day period that statutorily, when it elapses, schools have to shut down, is almost at its end. Where do we go from here? We're joined by Dr. Bert Bwedi-Kusi, as and when we can connect with the National Labour Commission. We'll interact with them as well. Dr. Bwedi-Kusi, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, my brother, for having me.
It's always a pleasure having you. Looking at how matters have devolved over the last few weeks and maybe even month, do you feel the sort of engagement from the National Labour Commission has been friendly, or has it been frosty and pushed you away as a group?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me say that I think we were at the NLC somewhere on the 13th or so. Since then, we have not had any engagement with the National Labour Commission.
Right.
We have only had some, public discourse, some utterances from its chief executive officer, which we hear most often. He speaks for the commission. So apart from that, we have not had any engagement with them. But I must say that generally, our members have not been enthused about the posture which has come in from the NLC, and that was underscored. Not the commissioners. You do not hear the commissioners speak. It is the CEO who speaks for them, and so who speaks for the commission. Generally, members have not been so much enthused about the posturing from the National Labour Commission. But as it were, it's a democratic space, and each one is entitled to put out whatever information it so ought to put out. And so, just to say that, as you have said, as some of these things have been pushed people away, and I would say that to a large extent, it's contributed to where we are. In as much as the commission may, the CEO and the commissioners, and let me say that, and I always put this up front, that in my public engagements, I don't discuss personalities. So it's unfortunate that I'm narrowing in on that, because I want to draw a distinction between the commissioners who do not speak and then the CEO who speaks for them. But not to take him on. I do not take anything. Whatever he has put out there, he's entitled to it. Just that there are a few of them that we disagree in terms of content, and right, possibly we may want to go into it later on. But let me say that it's a state institution which we respect, just that we may have different differing opinions. And so largely some utterances, not only from the NLC, but also from other corteses, has contributed to where we are. As unfortunate as it is, I think that these are things we can easily overcome. We don't need to, quarrel over it for any reason.
Now, legally speaking, you've been told to get back to work. You've not done that in terms of teaching. There are different dimensions to your work. But in terms of the teaching, the core teaching responsibility, UTAG has not responded. And now you're being sued. You're basically being compelled in a way to go back and do what you're paid to do. How do you react to that?
Thank you very much. Yes, you are right. The NLC ruled that we should go back to work. As leaders, we went to inform our members, and members were of the strong conviction that that could not be complied with. So if you check the communique that came, leaders informed the members that this is what we want. This is what has been the order that has come from the NLC. We are obliged to obey by law. But again, I go back to say that, you see, the same provisions of the labor law, which says that the NLC can give an order and we ought to comply, also made some provision for when there is disagreement, when the party disagrees with the ruling. And I think that is the next step, which indeed legally, which we have heard in Hinton, as you have indicated, that the NLC intends to go back to court to enforce its orders. So we're hoping that we will be able to overcome some of these things. Yes, it's a legal tussle, but some of us really wish that we would not have gone the legal way to be able to get these matters resolved.
And so, in other words, you're going to trigger other legal clauses to ensure that you can continue to stay away because of the fact that there are options available to you, and you're going to trigger them. In other words, you're not going to respond to what the NLC is doing in terms of going back to work. You're going to see through this week still striking. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I cannot say that as we speak. Because we have not even had, I'm not sure there is any legal suit from the NLC that has been served on the leadership of UTAG as we speak. I want to go on the tangent that I think that there is room for some intense discussion. Yes, we have been talking, we have been engaging, but I still want to believe that there is room for some high-level discussions to be able to get this challenge resolved. I keep saying that we are leaders because we have been mandated to be able to solve problems. And so if there are problems or there are challenges and we cannot get a headway, then it means that we still need to do more. And so I will not want to say that, well, we're going to go that tangent because I do not even know what the content of the suit, as it were, may be. And so I'm sure when we get there, the legal people for UTAG probably would look at it, and then we will study it. But of course, I want to believe that we will always want to act in the best interest of our dear nation, of our students. I have always maintained that it is not in our best interest to be on strike. Circumstances have made it so. And so we need to come out of these circumstances and get an amicable resolution within the shortest possible time.
Just to clarify, so you're saying that there's been no service on UTAG in terms of going to court and all of that for the enforcement of the NLC's directive. You've not been served any court summons or anything of the sort in that respect. Nothing has been served on your membership.
Well, yes. So far as I'm concerned, we have not had any service so far as UTAG is concerned. Not as I my check this morning. I don't think that there is any service on the leadership of UTAG.
So at the end of this 21-day period, what it means is schools are going to shut down. Is that something you're looking forward to?
I am looking forward to we getting out of this before the expiration of the 21-day period. But of course, I really do not want to be the one speaking to a shutdown or otherwise, because that is for the management of the various universities to do. But if my eye is on anything, or if the eye of UTAG is on anything, it's for us to get these matters resolved, because again, we have just come from a pandemic. In fact, we are even still within the pandemic, where the academic calendar has been completely distorted. Ordinarily, the first semester should have started from August and ended in September. We are in January, almost entering February, and we have not started the first semester of the current academic year. So it is not in our interest to get the academic calendar distorted again. And so if it's anything, then our eyes will be on making sure that there is a resolution, a quick resolution to these matters. We may have been engaging, but I think that so long as we have not had a fruitful outcome, it's important for us to still engage further and maybe a bit more intense to be able to get the results that we need.
Doc, let me just take your brains as we get ready to sew up this conversation on how some other groups have been reacting. And I'll take some thoughts from today's Daily Graphic, where we hear of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, appealing to your members of UTAG, to go back to lecture halls while the leadership returns to the negotiating table. And they are calling for this to be premised on the fact that UTAG had to be seen to be respecting the lawful authority of the mediator, the NLC, even if it had any misgivings about it. And I quote here, "As intellectuals, we cannot be seen to be acting with impunity." The Director General, Professor Mohammed Salifu, there. How does that make you feel, this call suggesting that you are acting with impunity?
Yes, let me say that, yes, I duly respect the views of the Director General of GTEC. He has been one of the key people working to get this resolved. And he makes a valid point that we need to, that appeal that we must get back, respect the views of the NLC and all that. I think that it's valid. As intellectuals, we have every right to obey the instructions of a lawful or a legal state entity. But as I made the point, within that same space, there are also options where people disagree. And so if the space also allows for that, then I do not think that we should be going on the tangent of acting with impunity. I do not think so. In as much as it may be seen as such, that there is some level of impunity that is going on, or some level of disrespect for the rules of engagement or the laws of the state. As I indicated earlier, there is still a space for dissenting opinion, dissenting voices. But appeal, it's important. But you see, sometimes you get a contradiction. Whilst there is an appeal that, look, get back, go and work, there's another agency saying that we are taking you to court. We are going the legal way. There's somebody also saying that there is nothing to negotiate. So the question is that how do you marry all these distortions that are coming in? And so that is where we seem to be in a little bit of a difficulty from the angle of also of the lecturers. And I think that we also need to understand the dynamics of this very industrial action, where the masses, or let me say the very ordinary lecturers, have gotten so much in tune with it and saying that, look, this time the employer ought to do something for us before we get back. And so the appeal is taken in good faith, but within that same, we should also look at it that within that same democratic space, there is room for dissenting voices. And so when there are dissenting voices, we do not go the hard line to talk about acting with impunity and all that. I think that we should continue to dialogue and engage further so that we find a solution to this very challenge that we are in.
So my final bit to you, very briefly, I hope you address it very briefly. We've heard the likes of Professor Jampo suggest that always when these matters arise, the NLC seems to lean towards government. Do you feel in this instance there is some bias there, because you are not getting what you want, but the NLC is saying, go back, whether you like it or not? Do you feel you're being treated a bit unfairly in this instance?
Yes, I think that to a large extent, and that has been the worry, that NLC is supposed to be the arbiter. But in almost consistently, in almost all the communications that has come from its CEO, it appears that it's like you go or you face a rat. You go or you face a rat. Initially, it was like, oh, let them report. Let the heads of departments and the vice chancellors report. And the heads of departments are also part of us, and the heads of departments are working. They are post. They are working. They have received the first years. They have received students. They are here. So we have consistently not been so happy with the posturing. Because if you are supposed to be an arbiter and we are not getting results, it is possibly your duty to make sure that we get results. Okay. And so if you take that hard line, then we're not helping each other.
Doc, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. And again, we wish you the best on this enterprise and hope that at some point there can be some agreement between the employer, NLC, and your end, so that poor students as well can get their teaching moving on. But thank you so much and do have a good day.
Thank you, my brother. Same to you.
That is Dr. Bert Wedikusi, who is president of UTAG at the UCC. Let's just clarify that we have attempted engaging the NLC, albeit on pretty short notice. But we did attempt interacting with the NLC, specifically the Executive Secretary, Honorable Ofosu Asamoah. Unfortunately, they could not join us for the conversation. We always want parity, but this morning we couldn't get them to respond. So maybe in subsequent editions of the AM show or in bulletins to come, we'll try that and see what they have to say in reaction to what UTAG has been telling us. It's been another interesting morning on the AM show, and it's always worth waking up for. My name is Benjamin Akako. Thank you for joining. Do have a good day.